I'd like to welcome you to the first of 7 segments on selling the new Ram pickup. In these 7 segments, we'll be highlighting some of the knowledge and skills we'll share with you in the Dodge Truck and Master Truck Specialist workshops. I'm Converse, one of your Dodge Truck training instructors. Since 1988, when we introduced the first Dodge Truck workshop, some of you have heard me say, the new truck is on the way. Frankly, I'm glad neither of the 2 proposed trucks made it. We've all used or heard the expression, the third time is a charm. The new Ram pickup, as you'll soon experience, is that much and more, a new truck in every aspect. By now you've heard numbers like we have to sell 3 times what we sold last year. And the new Ram pickup will be the #1 nameplate in our Dodge stores by next March. Let's take a look at the numbers for this past model year from RL Polk registration. The full-size pickup market last year was 1,120,000 units. The market's broken into 3 segments: big fleet, personal use, and vocational use. And with vocational use being the largest segment. Well, how do we stack up in this market? Very poorly, to say the least. In round numbers, we sold 80,000 units, and that was in all segments. The new Ram pickup will be produced at the rate of 20,000 units per month. Yes, that's at the rate of 240,000 trucks per year. And that's without the club cab that comes online June of 1994 at 100,000 units. We as salespeople should be very excited and pleased with that number. But we all know it won't work just to build them. We have to make sure that prospects becomes owners and satisfied customers. There are several things that have to be present to have this happen. This is evidenced in the 1992 J.D. Power Light Truck Sales Satisfaction Index study. The conclusions are, and I quote, "Dodge has fallen behind the industry as a whole in providing the customer with high-quality sales support and initial vehicle quality this year. While salespeople do an adequate job in taking care of the customer at time of delivery, they're not competitive in their knowledge of the vehicle, its warranty, financing options, and competitive vehicles. In today's hyper-competitive market, customers rely upon the salesperson to help them sort through the many vehicles and purchase options. For us to reach our target for the new Ram pickup, we need to do much better. I think we can summarize a survey in our target by saying we must have 1, a unique product, a product with superior quality, a product that fills the needs of the buyer, a product that has a price-value relationship. Secondly, we've got to have a marketing network, a dealer organization, supported by field people with available inventory and certainly the proper advertising programs. And third, and probably most important, a professional sales staff, a staff that's knowledgeable of the product and competition, skilled in selling techniques and working with customers, and certainly a salesperson that has a proper attitude. Let's look at how these things are being addressed for the new Ram pickup. First off, the unique product. The 1994 Dodge Ram is all new from the ground up. It's totally world-class in engineering, features, and styling. It beats the competition's strengths. It has features not found yet on competitors' trucks and will meet the truck owner's needs. Early surveys from owners, industry experts, and even our own competition says we have a winner. As early as 60 days ago, Ford and GM indicated their awareness and understanding of the quality and uniqueness with statements such as, "In 1994, Dodge trucks are our competition." That's a statement made by both GM and Ford. General Motors is saying that Dodge will get 16% of the truck market with this new Ram pickup. Now, that's about 180,000 units. Now, since that's more than twice what we sold last year, they must think we have a truck that's pretty strong. Both GM and Ford have training programs aimed at informing their salespeople how to try to sell against our new truck. Well, with bold, aggressive styling, superior power, towing, payload features not available on any other truck, and a pledge to provide competitive pricing, the new Ram pickup is truly unique. Let's look now at the marketing network. The dealer body must be committed to maintain adequate inventory, as well as support sales, service, and parts training. This presents investments far greater than any other model ever produced. Programs to encourage and support the dealer body will be introduced as volume inventories become available. Your zone field personnel have all attended the Dodge Truck and Master Truck Specialist workshop. This is to enable them to help and support you and your dealership reach the goals of profits, volume, and customer satisfaction. Goals that will be reached only through a team effort. An aggressive advertising program is planned with timing to get maximum benefit, with emphasis placed on head-to-head comparisons with competition. Now, let's talk about the reason this program is addressed to you, the salesperson. The Power Survey wasn't very complimentary to us as Dodge truck salespeople. However, I do know we have some very professional truck salespeople out there with excellent SSI scores, and if you're one of these, congratulations. I'm not making excuses for the rest of you, just understanding that for most of you, the Dodge truck was a very small part of your commission check. And with very little inventory to sell from, it was probably pretty difficult to get excited about this segment of our sales. Earlier in this program, I mentioned the goal of selling the new Ram pickup to the position of #1 nameplate in our dealerships by next March. Yes, that means even outselling the minivan. So what will it take to unseat the leaders? Customer surveys have shown that commercial truck buyers, and I'm quoting again, vocational truck buyers expect a knowledgeable salesperson who knows the competition and can recommend uses that will help them make more money. Today's personal use truck buyers may or may not be knowledgeable about engines, transmissions, axles. We have to be able to properly advise them. They may not realize that there's a limit to what a truck can contain, support, and move. And that's where you come in. In future programs, we're going to go into detail on containing, supporting, and moving a load. We'll cover different driveline components and other engineering features such as four-wheel drive. We'll deal with the requirements for trailer towing and cover chassis cabs and how Dodge chassis cabs fit into the various niches within the vocational market. And for our final segment, we'll cover qualifying and prospecting. Thank you for joining me today. I hope to see you at one of our truck workshops real soon. Welcome to the second of 7 segments on selling the new Dodge Ram pickup. We'll be highlighting some of the knowledge and skills we share with you in the Dodge truck and Master Truck workshops. I'm Converse, one of your Dodge truck trainers. Trucks are expected to do 3 things: contain, support, and move loads. Today we're going to talk about what we have to consider in load containing and load supporting. That is, to be able to job rate the right trucks for customers. Job rating is what we do when we determine what truck, suspension system, and powertrain the customer needs to do the job or to perform to maximum satisfaction. We begin by qualifying our customers to determine, first, the type of load they'll be carrying. Secondly, the maximum weight of the load. How will they be operating the truck? For an example, will they be using it for city, stop-and-go type driving, or on the highway, or maybe a combination of both? What type of roads do they drive on? Are they paved, gravel, or strictly use it in an off-road situation? But before we do that, let's review the most common terms used in job rating and talking trucks today. Let's start with curb weight, a term we use to describe in pounds the weight of the truck as it comes from the factory. That's one equipped with standard equipment only and normal fluid levels. If we add factory options, they either have to increase the curb weight or reduce the payload allowance. Speaking of payload, or load as it's sometimes referred to, what is that? Yes, it's the obvious, the cargo, but it's also the weight of the driver and passengers. The options not included in curb weight. These can be factory, dealer, customer, or even upfitter installed. For those of you not familiar with that term upfitter, we'll be discussing the important role they play in our truck market in future segments. But for now, we'll just say an upfitter completes a truck either with equipment, body, or safety items, and sometimes they're all 3. One more weight has to be added to the payload figures. That's the weight of the tongue, or the kingpin if the truck is going to be used for trailer towing. Now, when we total these items, including the payload, and add them to the curb weight, what we have is the total gross vehicle weight. If we've qualified to the maximum weights, we now know the most this truck can weigh or will weigh as our customers use it. We are now concerned with the gross vehicle weight rating of our truck. That's a rating that's found on the certification label of the truck, and it represents the most the truck can ever weigh under any circumstances. If our gross vehicle weight exceeds it, we have the wrong truck, or at least not enough rating. Let's look at what makes up the rating. Frames, drivelines do contribute to the gross vehicle weight rating for any particular model. However, most models have several gross vehicle weight ratings that will allow best performance for whatever application we have. The gross vehicle weight rating is generally determined for a specific model by the following components: the tires and rims, the axles, the springs. From the capacity of these components, we determined the gross axle weight rating. The rating of the weakest of these three components will establish the gross axle weight rating. The gross vehicle weight rating and the gross axle weight rating are both part of the information found on the certification label. The certification label is required by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and certifies what the truck's maximum weight can be. That's the gross vehicle weight rating. And the maximum weight that an axle can carry. That's the gross axle weight rating. There are other terms we'll discuss later when we need to apply them. For an example, the gross combination weight rating, that's the most a truck and trailer can weigh. But let's see how this must be used in load containment and load supporting. We first must pick out the model. We start with the type of load. Do we need a pickup with an open box, a van, to be used as a people mover? After the type of truck is determined, we then use the payload to determine the specific model size. That is does it need to be a 1500 or a 2500? We determine that from payload allowance charts found several places, handbooks, brochures, but the best place is the truck product information book in the general selling information section. That's page 9 and 10. The model must be able to contain the load the customer will be using that particular truck for. If the model selected with standard gross vehicle weight rating does not have the capacity to support that much weight, then we need to look for a larger gross vehicle weight rating. The Ram pickup section of the truck product information book, as does all of our models, has several pages for selecting the gross vehicle weight rating. This page is called the GVWR and Payload Selector. Under Ram Pickup, it's page 60. When you use this page, you'll find a standard gross vehicle weight rating for each model. You'll also find optional gross vehicle weight ratings. Each rating spells out the payload allowance, the curb weight, and specifics on axles and springs. All of this information can be found in your new 1994 Dodge Truck Product Information Book. For us as salespeople, that's the Bible. There's also a ton of information in your Dodge Truck brochures. Plus, you'll have the opportunity to build several trucks using this information at our Dodge Truck and Master Truck Specialist workshops. The steps in determining the load containing and load supporting requirements for a customer's truck are exactly the same whether that customer wants a truck for personal use or vocational use. Our next truck training segment will deal with load moving and engineering. I'll look forward to being with you again. Welcome to the third segment on selling the new Dodge Ram pickup. In the next few moments, we're going to cover a lot of material to help you more easily job rate the right Ram pickup for your customer's personal as well as vocational use. I'm Leo Converse, one of your Dodge truck trainers. Well, I'm sure many of you have attended the Dodge Truck and Master Truck Specialist workshops. These broadcasts are aimed at both the new salespeople and pros. We're going to briefly review some of the essential steps in the successful truck selling. And one of the most important steps is to choose the right components to move your customer's load wherever he or she drives. Today's segment will focus on the load moving and some engineering features of the new Ram pickup. While many of these features aren't exclusive just to the new Ram and carry across to the other lines of our pickups, we'll focus on the new Dodge Ram. As we said last time, when we talk about load containing and load supporting, thoroughly qualifying a customer enables us to job rate the right truck for the right job. Let's assume for this discussion that you know what your prospect's going to carry and pull, and you've chosen the best model to meet those needs. You've also selected the right gross vehicle weight package. In other words, you have the right gross vehicle weight rating. What's next? Moving that load. That means the engine, transmission, and rear axle have to be right. We'll briefly review all three drivetrain components, and then we'll come back and discuss them each in more detail. Whether you select a gasoline or a diesel engine, each has a specific horsepower rating, torque rating, displacement, or size. That torque or twisting force that the engine delivers to the rest of the drivetrain is multiplied in the drivetrain by, first, the transmission's gear ratios. The total torque at the prop shaft of the transmission is again multiplied by the rear axle's gear ratio. The engine's torque times the transmission's gear ratio equals what we have at the prop shaft. The prop shaft torque is then again multiplied by the gears in the rear axle. They dictate how much torque or driving power is transferred to the wheels. What's important to remember is that the higher the numerical ratio, the greater the pulling power, and the lower the numerical ratio, the greater the fuel economy. Engine selection depends upon what's being carried or pulled, the need for performance versus economy, the type of roads to be driven upon. Is it going to be low country or high country? Transmission selection depends upon performance versus economy, or sometimes just personal taste. Do they prefer an automatic or would a manual work? The rear axle selection depends upon load moving requirements, the type of roads, and the question of economy versus performance needs. Now let's take a look at how they all impact on one another. We can start with the engine and the powertrain. We can use different transmissions and rear axle ratios to get different effects. The torque that engine develops is going to be what it takes to move our load. Let's take for an example, if we want to use the 318 engine, which is known to many of us as a 5.2-liter engine. An engine that develops a maximum 290 pounds-foot torque, and it does that at about 3,200 RPM. Now, I've got a customer that doesn't need to carry a big load, doesn't have a lot of need for torque. So as a result, I can use, for an example, the transmission, an automatic transmission, namely the 46RH. It has a first gear ratio of 2.45. We multiply that torque coming through the transmission. As a result, as you can see, we have over 710 pounds at the prop shaft on the transmission. We again then multiply that torque going through the prop shaft, through the drive line to the rear axle by the rear axle ratio, which is 3.21 in this case. That gives me a total of 2,280 pounds. Now, as you can see, that's quite an increase over what we started out with just the engine. However, what if my customer needs more? Well, I'd have a choice of using a different transmission and rear axle. Let's take, for an example, using the same 318 engine, the same 290 pounds-foot torque, but in this case, we'll use a manual transmission, the new NV 3500. First gear ratio is a 401. By the time I multiply that torque coming out of the engine through first gear, at the prop shaft, then I have over 1,100 pounds of torque. And in this case, because I need a little more performance, I'll use a rear axle ratio of 3.90. Wow, as you can see, we get over 4,500 pounds of torque delivered to the rear wheels to begin to move that load. As you can see, when we have a heavy load to move, or maybe just driving conditions that require more torque, we get that with the manual transmission and the higher rear axle ratio. Again, remember, we started with the same engine. We've just put together the drivetrain, the components that move your customers' trucks. In our next segment, we'll be discussing the engineering and technical features for the new Dodge Ram pickup. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.